Well, welcome again. We are going to go ahead and get started. Again, we really appreciate you coming to this webinar. We want to honor your time and make the best use of time. And so I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Timothy Borch. I work as the Assistant Director in the Office of Admissions. Welcome to our Spotlight webinar, School of Biological Sciences. Again, this is a special webinar highlighting and showcasing the programs and services available through the School of Biological Sciences to help support our transfer students, prospective transfer students. We're thrilled that you're here with us, and we want to find out where you're from. So if you would be good enough using the Q&A feature, if you could just let us know where you're participating from, whether you're in California, outside California, maybe another country, go ahead and use that Q&A feature to let us know where you're from. And we are going to, I do want to make a couple of housekeeping announcements. So next slide, please. This webinar is being recorded and will be made available once the webinar concludes. Several days after the webinar, the recording will be available. We will post it in our YouTube channel for the Office of Admissions. As I mentioned earlier, we want you to engage with us. This is really your opportunity to ask our colleagues in the School of Biological Sciences any questions you have. And so we are going to be providing some general information about admissions, but this is really about the biological sciences. Use the Q&A to ask questions. Closed captioning is available through the live transcript icon. And I can see that we have folks from across California. We have somebody from Switzerland. So I think that might be, that certainly is a little bit further away. So we have folks from all over. So thank you for putting that information in the Q&A. Next slide, please. So I would like to highlight the agenda for today's webinar. There is going to be an admissions overview, which will be comprised of just a few slides talking about general admissions requirements, deadlines, reminders, and then we'll be passing it off to our School of Biological Sciences. A number of academic advisors are available today to go through some general questions, some frequently asked questions, and then also the interactive Q&A. And then we'll have a closing remarks as well on how you can get in contact with us if you have additional questions after the webinar. And so with that, I'd like to advance to the next slide. And I will be providing the Office of Admissions update. And so next slide, please. We would really be remiss if we didn't talk about our location. I know that many of you indicated that you're in California, some even in San Diego. But it is important to let people know, first and foremost, where we're located. We are in America's finest city. So that is San Diego's motto. Being in, our campus is actually in La Jolla. It's part of San Diego County. So we are San Diego, UC San Diego. We are only minutes away from some of Southern California's most spectacular beaches. We're only a 20-minute drive to downtown San Diego. I do want to point out that bus transportation is available and comes right onto campus, and our students have access to unlimited rides using what we call the U-Pass system. The San Diego Trolley opened two lines. They opened a line, and we have two stops on campus, and this has been for about a year and a half now. It provides easy access to neighborhoods throughout the city, as well as the U.S.-Mexico border. Another nice thing about being in San Diego is the recreation. Whether it's outdoor kayaking, skiing, hiking, the desert, all of these can be done in just a single drive, or one-day drive. Average temperature is pretty nice. So there's a lot going for us here at UC San Diego. And so we wanted to just indicate that the first and foremost, it is our location. I do want to point out also on this slide, you can see that picture. That's a picture of our Scripps Institution of Oceanography pier jetting out into the Pacific Ocean. SIO, as we know Scripps to be called, is one of our research institutes on campus. It is part of UC San Diego, and it just goes to show you just how, in fact, close we are to the Pacific Ocean, and we are, in fact, basically on the beach. Next slide, please. I want to talk a little bit about the college system. So UC San Diego has a lot of different unique characteristics. One of the key characteristics is our college system. It's a unique feature that basically provides smaller communities within the larger community. The colleges help students thrive as they create an opportunity to make the university experience more personal, more approachable. The college system allows students to experience really the best of both worlds. The advantages that come with being in a Tier 1 research institution that has both state-of-the-art facilities and world-renowned faculty members while at the same time being part of a smaller community through their college affiliation. Academic advising, the dean's office services, and much more are available at the college level. Students can study any major at any college at UC San Diego. So as biology students, and we know that some of you are joining the webinar, may or may not be declared biology majors. You may be exploring what your major will be when it comes time to apply. Nevertheless, any major at any college here at UC San Diego. I also want to point out that each college has opportunities for student government, student involvement with regard to leadership, traditions, special events. The colleges really are a smaller community within the larger community. Each college has their own philosophy, and from that, they have developed a set of general education requirements. To get a degree from any institution, any college, students need to typically complete what we call general education, which is a broad breadth of courses. So it rounds out the student's education. So as biology majors, it's likely that you may also be taking a course in arts and humanities, or perhaps a course in English writing. Well, you definitely will be taking several courses in English writing and composition. But again, the general education can be very broad depending on which college a student is in. The colleges are delineated in the white box. You can see they're named Revelle, Muir, Marshall, Warren, Roosevelt, 6th, 7th, and 8th. 8th colleges are brand new college. It just opened for first-year students this fall, and it'll be open for transfer students starting in fall of 2025. So lots of exciting opportunities in store for prospective transfer students. Next slide, please. I do want to talk a little bit about transfer requirements, just very briefly. So for UC San Diego, we look for junior level transfer students, and that means that a student would have to complete a minimum of 60 UC transferable semester units by the end of spring term prior to fall admission. For example, if you're planning to submit your application for this fall, which is fall 2024, you would have to complete the 60 UC transferable semester units by the end of spring 2024. So that'll be this next spring. So if you're in the pipeline, you have all of this remaining semester, fall semester, and then if your college offers a winter intersession perhaps, and then the spring semester. Now, I mentioned semester. It's interesting. The University of California primarily is on a quarter system. In other words, most of the campuses in the UC system are on a quarter system, except for Merced and Berkeley. San Diego's on a quarter system, so that's fall, winter, and spring quarters. 90 quarter units is equal to 60 semester units. So that's one requirement. We also have as a requirement a competitive GPA for transfer, and that varies from year to year, depending on the cohort, depending on the major. That can also be a variance. I do want to point out some of our most popular majors. The higher the GPA, the better the chances of gaining admission. Those would include computer science, engineering. Our biology majors are definitely considered selective majors. So you want to make sure that you're doing as best you can in order to prepare for admission. And then finally, meeting the UC subject requirements, we refer that also as the 7-course pattern, which is comprised of 2 English composition courses, at least 1 math course, and then 4 courses from at least 2 areas, including arts and humanities, physical biological sciences, and social behavioral sciences. So again, we're talking more about that broad spectrum of general breadth, or breadth in terms of the student's academic experience. I do want to also point out on this slide in white, it delineated our major prep majors. So the majors that are delineated, including all the majors in biological sciences, do require minimum major preparation in order to be eligible for admission. For biology, those courses include the Calculus 1 and 2, the entire general chemistry series, including lab, and then what we call at UC San Diego Build 1 and 3. So those are the minimum courses that students would have to take for transfer major preparation for a major in biology, but students are welcome to go beyond the minimum in terms of major preparation. If you're at a California community college, you can definitely utilize assist.org. And with that segue, I'd like to ask to move to the next slide, talk a little bit about some helpful tools for transfers. And that first one that I mentioned, assist.org, if you're a California community college student, hopefully you're familiar with this resource. It's a wonderful resource. It's the official repository for transferable courses in the UC system, California community colleges to a UC, as well as to a CSU, the California State University system. Those are the 3 public systems of higher education in the state of California. IGETC is something else we'd like to talk about. It's not an admission requirement, but at the California Community Colleges, IGETC, which is short for Intersegmental General Education Transfer Curriculum, is a set of courses that can help to satisfy our 7-course pattern here at UC San Diego. So if you are on the IGETC track, definitely some advantages to that. Finally, I would really urge you, if you haven't yet, to create a UC Transfer Admission Planner. If you click on the QR code, if you have your phone available, go ahead and scan that QR code. Definitely recommend you create a UC Transfer Admission Planner. This is an invaluable resource. It will help you to track your progress. You'll receive timely communications from the different UC campuses to which you indicate an interest, including UC San Diego. So definitely something that we recommend for students. And it's never too late to create your UC TAP account. Next slide, please. I do want to provide just a quick snapshot of our class from this past year, or actually the class that just began this fall. So for 2023 admission, we had close to 20,000 applications, and we admitted, you can see here, 12,500, which is an admit rate of about 62%. So that's pretty good for a university with so much going for it at UC San Diego. 62% admit rate is really phenomenal. You can see the middle 50% GPA range. That is not saying that if you're in that GPA range, you will automatically gain admission. It's just saying from the class of 2023, that's where the middle GPA range fell. If you're interested in a major that's not as selective, if you're a California Community College student, being admitted at a 3.0 is possible. Not guaranteed, but it is possible for non-selective majors. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, some of our most selective majors, including computer science, for instance, the higher the GPA, the better the chances of gaining admission. Next slide, please. We are in the application cycle. So the application did open on August 1st. The application filing period is coming up. It's just a couple weeks away, November 30th. We recommend not waiting till the last day. Very few, if any, students are allowed to submit a late application. You can see for first-year students, students are notified in mid to late March, but for transfer students, all decisions will be released by April 30th. And then for transfer students, you'll have until June 1st to accept your offer of admission. I do also want to point out that the application fee is $80 for domestic students and $95 for international students. However, there is a fee waiver process embedded within the application. So make sure that you provide information about your family, size, and income. That information is not used for admission purposes, but rather it is used to help to determine whether or not you will qualify for that fee waiver. And if you get that fee waiver, you can waive the application fee for up to 4 campuses. So it's something we highly recommend that you take advantage of. Next slide, please. Stay connected with us. We are everywhere. Definitely make sure you click on that QR code. We have events, we have tours. Definitely, if you have information, subscribe as well. You can subscribe and get information about, again, reminders, about events, things of this nature. We also have a strong social media presence. Next slide. And so with that, that's our general admissions overview. And I'd like to welcome at this point an esteemed colleague from the School of Biological Sciences, Camille, who is going to take over with the Biological Sciences presentation. Camille?
Thanks, Timothy. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, early good morning, depending on where you're signing in from. We're really excited to speak to you all today about UC San Diego's School of Biological Sciences. My name is Camille. I'm one of the undergraduate advisors for the School of Biosciences. We have a few of our advising team present today who will speak to you about program offerings, transfer major preparation, student organizations, and enrichment opportunities. We also have a few advisors behind the scenes who are available to answer any questions that you submit via that Q&A feature in this webinar. So something to keep in mind before we move on into our next slides, that we do have over 5,000 declared biology majors and over 400 declared minors in the School of Biosciences. And we also have a large team of academic advisors, like I mentioned, to support all of your questions and inquiries that are related to the School of Biosciences. So to get us started, I'm going to pass the presentation on to Brian, who is going to kick it off.
Hello, everyone. So I'm going to give a brief overview of kind of what we offer. So as you can see here, we offer 7 different majors, a minor, and then we also have a continuous BS-MS program. So the undergraduate curriculum in regards to the majors emphasizes on biological processes, the systems examined at the molecular, biomedical, cellular, ecosystem scales, like with a great foundation in these areas, you'd be set up to go into genetic counseling, biotechnology, medicine, epidemiology, vet school, prepared you for a lot of different avenues. And no matter what your long-term goals are, we likely have a major for you. If you do not come in as a biology major, we do offer a minor in general biology. There is no specific specialization with our minor. Rather, we have 2 lower division classes you'll take, and then your choice of 5 upper division courses. So you can kind of tailor the minor to whatever interests you are, whatever interests you have for the future, or what potential prerequisites you might need to complete for graduate school. The continuous BS-MS program is awesome. It focuses on research. You can take research for academic credit while you're an undergraduate, and then that can count towards the master's portion as well. So potentially students can graduate in 4 years and then in their 5th year get the MS degree. So it's really awesome. Highly recommend that if anyone is interested in any of our majors, our minor, or the BS-MS program, please review our websites. There's a ton of information, and you can always send us questions. We'd be happy to help you out. The next slide to kind of talk about our rankings. So we're pretty cool. We are ranked first in the nation to graduate women and URM students with degrees in biological sciences. We're ranked number 9 in the undergraduate biological sciences programs, one of 2 public universities ranked that highly in the QS World Rankings in 2023. We also have several biological related disciplines ranked in the top 10 by US News and the World Report, including microbiome, biotechnology and applied microbiology, cell bio, biology and biochemistry, and molecular biology and genetics. The next slide can talk a bit about one of our really cool buildings. This is Tata Hall. This opened in winter of 2019 for use for classes. It houses facilities for biological and physical sciences. We have an Institute for Genetics and Society, and this is where you would do a lot of your labs and research. It's awesome. And then in our next slide, kind of talk about a few cool classes that we have. So 2 of our lower division classes, Build 5 and 62. Build 5 is data analysis and designs for biologists. And this combines biology, stats, and programming and focuses on using our programming language. Build 62 focuses on skills needed to solve problems typically found in biology using Python. So not like data science, computer science combined with biology. So if you're interested in biotech, these are some great intro classes. And you don't even actually have to be a bio major to take some of these classes. For upper division interests in kind of like special topics, we have senior seminars that houses around 30 students, and you're going to read and discuss new research literature, journal articles, and be able to work with faculty who have experience in that field. So it's a great courses if you are really wanting to dive really deep into some specific things. Really develops the critical thinking, how to analyze and communicate biological information to a lot of different areas. It's pretty cool. So in our next slide, we have Haley, who will talk to you more about the transfer major preparation.
Hi everyone, my name is Haley, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about transfer major prep. Timothy alluded to a little bit of it earlier, but transfer students that are interested in being admitted to a biology major at the time of admission to UC San Diego must complete specific courses in order to be eligible. So the specific courses that you'll need are Build 1 and Build 3. Those are our lower division bio courses. You also need the entire general chemistry sequence, which is Chem 6A, 6B, 6C, and 7L. And then you'll also need the calculus sequence, which could be Math 10A and 10B, or Math 20A and 20B. And so you'll need to make sure that you have all of those courses completed when you are applying as to biology. Within that, all courses must be completed with a letter grade of C- or higher. So making sure that you're earning a letter grade of C- or higher within those courses. And you must earn a 2.5 GPA within those specific courses that we mentioned. So the Build 1 and Build 3, the Gen Chem sequence, and your calculus sequence. If you have AP, IB, or A-level credit, it will count towards the transfer major prep requirements, but it's not going to be factored into that transfer major prep GPA. And it's just important to note that as a transfer student, you must be admitted to biology at time of admission to UCSD in order to be a biology major. So if you are interested in biology, again, we have the 7 different majors. So if you're interested in any of them, we recommend that you are applying to UCSD as biology, because you have to be admitted as biology in order to declare biology as a primary or even a secondary major. So very important if you're interested in biology to apply as biology. Cool. And then next, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some non-academic or some kind of extracurriculars that you have the opportunity to be a part of at UCSD as a bio student. So you have a lot of opportunities to get involved. The first one I'm going to talk to you about is the Bio Scholars Program, which is designed to give students that are majoring in biology the opportunity to pursue their interests in a smaller community of scholars. So as a part of the Bio Scholars Program, you can connect to different resources at UCSD, and it gives students the chance to connect closely with peers and faculty members in a small group settings, and research labs and special programs and activities. Some of the special programs that they offer are like lab tours, so you can kind of tour the labs around campus. There's also a really cool like tea time with faculty. So it's a time where you can talk to faculty members. They also have different workshops, panels, social events, and more. And so the Bio Scholars Program, you'll have to apply to it. And so transfer students so it'll be after your first quarter at UCSD. So transfer students have to have above a 3.7 GPA after their fall quarter in order to be eligible to apply. And information will be sent out about this via a newsletter. So if you are admitted to UCSD and you decide to come here, we would definitely recommend that you subscribe to our newsletter, the Bio Matters newsletter, because it has a lot of really cool information and opportunities for students at UCSD. Next slide, please. The next organization I'm going to talk about is BSSA, which stands for the Biological Sciences Student Association, which is dedicated to improving the education of UCSD's biology undergraduate population through programming and opportunities that enrich their personal, academic, and professional growth. So some examples of the programming they have include a mentor and mentee program. So that's really cool. So you can connect with other students on campus that have been in biology. So you can ask them about different classes, what they recommend, maybe any research that they're in. So it's really cool. There's a way to connect with others on campus. They also do mock interviews, which is really going to be a helpful tool, especially if like, you're interested in maybe going to grad school. Or just later on in your career. So mock interview prep is really interesting. They also have professor-student mixers. So again, you can meet faculty on campus and kind of connect and network with them, and they offer more. Again, for this one, you can join. And so more information, they have a website, and also they have a newsletter as well. So this one doesn't necessarily have a GPA requirement. This is just a student association that we would recommend that you get involved in as well at UCSD. And now I'm going to take it to Bianca.
Thanks, Haley. Hi, everyone. So one of our student organizations is the Saltman Quarterly. So the Saltman Quarterly is a medium for UCSD undergrad students to publish their biological research. A lot of our students do conduct research, whether it be on campus or off campus. And it's really nice just to publish your research. What have you been learning? What have you found? And so on. And the Saltman Quarterly, it is for undergraduate students. And essentially it's just highlighting your research manuscripts, featured articles, abstracts, anything that you feel comfortable publishing and just having other people look at and review. In Salmon Quarterly, there's a portion called Under the Scope, which highlights student profiles and research in a way that is accessible to the general public. So yeah, it's really, really nice just to put your research out there. Next slide. Thank you. So the next portion is the co-op program. So the co-op program is actually really cool. It is a paid work experience for up to 1 year for undergraduate students. Now, the co-op program partners with organizations such as Catalent, Thermo Fisher Scientific, Excelos, Specialty Enzymes and Probiotics, and much more. The co-op program is basically paid work experience that lasts between 6 to 12 months. You can earn credit for it, academic credit for it, anywhere between 2, 4, or 6 units. It would be under BISP and 182, Cooperative Education and Analysis. The co-op program, one thing that you should definitely know about is you'd be working full-time during the summer. So you'd be working to 40 hours a week during the summer and then part-time during the academic school year. So during the academic year, you would speak to your supervisor to negotiate like your hours and so on. But just one of the main eligibility requirements is that there is a 1 year minimum for the co-op program. So students who are during like their first transfer year here or their third year here at UCSD, anytime basically before your last year, you can apply and get into the program possibly. But just keeping in mind that it is a 1 year eligibility requirement and you need to apply before your last year. You cannot do it during your last year. As you will start during the summertime. Yeah. Next slide. And then the Roots program. I think this is really, really cool. So the Roots is research opportunity and orientation for transfer students. Roots. It is essentially a program that focuses on helping transfer students build laboratory skills and find research positions immediately upon starting at UCSD. Now, when you come to UCSD, as I said before, a lot of students are interested in conducting research, but a lot of students don't know exactly how to do that. The Roots is a 4-week workshop prior to the start of fall quarter for all incoming transfer students, where you'll learn the basic practices of molecular biology laboratory skills in a supportive setting while meeting other transfer students and networking at UCSD with UCSD faculty, and just talking to other students. It's really, really a neat way for students to get involved in research and just start building that kind of networking. So hopefully like when you start here at UCSD, you can just get into that. If like you're really interested in research, I definitely think that you should check this out. And I think Julie dropped the link in the chat. And I'll send it back to Camille.
All right, thanks Bianca, Brian, and Haley for speaking about our program offerings and student opportunities and organizations and enrichment opportunities. For the next few minutes, we want to go over some of the frequently asked questions that we receive from current and prospective biology students at UCSD. But before I jump into that, I just want to remind you all that you can submit questions via the Q&A feature in case I don't go over them with you on the next few slides, or if a question pops up in your mind as we're going through these next few questions, please feel free to submit them and then we'll answer them behind the scenes, and we'll answer some of them live too, since a lot of what folks are asking is helpful for other folks to know too. So for the first question, I'm going to direct to Brian. And the first question is, I've heard all biology majors are selective. What exactly does this mean?
So selective, or you might have heard the term capped major before, is basically a designation of majors that have restricted admission. So even if a student is admitted to UCSD, like as a freshman, for example, doesn't mean that they can just automatically switch majors or declare a biology major. In general, we restrain the students in the biology majors well, there's a lot of reasons, but basically it allows us to continue to offer the best quality academic programming we can to students. So it avoids delays in time to degree, or, being able to get into labs or into lecture courses. So it really helps students, once they're in one of our bio majors, be able to get through all of the curriculum in a comfortable manner and not have to worry about, can I get the classes I need to graduate on time? So basically selective, you can think of it as kind of like restricted or just an additional admissions barrier. And that's why we highly recommend students who want to declare a bio major should be aware of those specific screening criteria for admission into one of our majors. And so we've talked about it before, like the transfer major prep. If you're a transfer student, and if you're coming in as a freshman, then you can kind of get that done within, one of your early quarters. You have to get that done to transfer in. But the good thing is that once you are in one of our majors, you are free to switch between our majors. So kind of the selective requirements don't apply to current bio majors. I hope that makes sense. But basically, once you're in, you can switch around between the 7 majors freely. And yeah, but you just have to get in first.
All right, the next question for Brian. I took AP biology at my high school. Will this credit count for the biology major?
So yeah, so we do accept AP credit for our majors. So I believe a score of 3 gives you build 10, and a score of 4 or 5 gives you build 1, 2, and 3. So ideally you'd get a score of 4 or 5, because most of our majors do require build 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, definitely accept AP credit.
Thanks, Brian. For the next set of questions, I'm going to direct them to Haley. The first one is, I am interested in pre-health programs upon graduation. What major is the best for me?
Cool. So it generally doesn't matter which biology major you are. So essentially, for any post-grad programs such as like medical school or PA school, they may have specific academic prerequisites, but those academic prerequisites can be met within any of our majors. And so essentially, a lot of students think they have to be a specific biology major in order to attend like PA school, for example, but that is not true. It is as long as you are just meeting the academic prerequisites at those specific schools. UCSD has a really cool resource called HealthBeat Advising, and they really support students that are interested in applying to those sort of programs. And Julie just dropped a link in the chat, and so they have a lot of information on that website. So I would go explore. They have information for PA school, vet school, optometry school, you name it. And so you can see, okay, if I want to go to an optometry school, these are the courses that I need to take. And again, a lot of those courses will overlap with current major requirements that you have for the biology major.
The next FAQ is there an opportunity for biology majors to study abroad?
Yes, of course. There's definitely an opportunity for bio majors to study abroad. And there's a lot of different programs, such as the UC Education Abroad program, which is UC EAP. It includes global seminars. Or there's the UCSD Opportunities Abroad program. So students that participate in EAP, so the UC EAP, will earn UC units that will factor into their UC GPA. Versus the OAP is a non-UC based program where students will still earn the transfer units that can apply to their academic requirement. So depending on your interests, you can choose to take major courses abroad. But before going abroad, we would recommend, of course, meeting with the study abroad advisor and then one of us, so a biology advisor as well, to discuss which program is right for you and to discuss which courses you want to take and to discuss what's applicable to the major. We do have a resource on our website that's called Courses Taken Outside of the School of Biological Sciences. It's essentially a big database of courses that students have taken. So for example, like students that studied abroad in London at King's College, it has courses they've took and courses that, like biology courses that they've been approved for major credit. So again, all this to say is it is possible. We would recommend reviewing all the resources that Julie has dropped in the chat and talking to us so we can kind of help you plan out your schedule. But yes, biology majors can study abroad and you can get major credit. while you can study abroad, we just caution against studying abroad like during your final few quarters, just because studying abroad during your final few quarters can delay degree processing, because essentially you'll have to finish and then your credits will have to transfer back over, and then we can't process your degree until everything is posted to your account. So you can study abroad, just we would recommend sooner in your academic career rather than later.
Thanks, Haley. The next FAQ question is for Bianca. I am interested in participating in research on campus. Is this an option as a biology major?
Yes, it is definitely an option to conduct research on campus. We generally recommend waiting until after your first quarter here at UCSD to start looking for research positions. During your first quarter, like that's your transition period, where you're still getting used to how does UCSD work, like your classes, how to navigate campus, and so on. So because of that, we do generally recommend waiting until after your first quarter. During your first quarter, if you're interested in participating in research on campus, we highly, highly recommend reaching out to your professors. A lot of the professors on campus conduct their own private or like their own research. A lot of students will go to like their professor's office hours to speak to them and ask them if they know anyone that has a lab opening, if they have any possible lab openings, and so on. So I definitely recommend that when you start attending your classes, to definitely speak to your professors. They're definitely the people that you would really want to reach out to and ask them like if they have any tips, tricks on getting you involved in any kind of research on campus, and so on. If you are able to start conducting research on campus, you could apply for academic credit. That is called BISP 199. BISP 199, I believe that Julie just put in the chat. Essentially, you would apply for BISP 199. You have to apply for it. You can't just like enroll in it. But essentially what it is if you take the course for 4 units, you can apply it towards your biology lab requirement or towards your biology elective. You can only apply it once. If you take the course for 2 units, then it can apply towards your biology elective requirements. And if you have any questions, you can always come to drop-ins or messages through the Virtual Advising Center. And then the last place that you can find like where you can participate for research on campus is if you go to our website, at the top, there's an area that's called Research Topics. And essentially, it'll show you all of our different faculty that are conducting different types of research. That's usually why I recommend students reaching out to the faculty members, looking at what they're researching and studying and everything like that, asking them questions that are related to the research, and then hopefully seeing if they have any opening questions. Yeah.
So that's it for our FAQ portion of the presentation. But now I want to answer some of the questions that you submitted in the Q&A feature live. So Bianca, Haley, or Brian, feel free to turn your screens on and jump in if you would like to answer the questions I'm about to ask. So the first question is the chemistry transfer sequence general chemistry and organic chemistry?
I can answer this one. So for transfer major prep, you just need to complete the general chemistry sequence when it comes to chemistry. So that is the equivalent of UCSD's Chem 6A, 6B, 6C, and 7L. So that's when it's helpful that you review assist.org and put in like the community college that you're attending, and then also put in UCSD just to see which courses those are equivalent to. And so it is just the general chemistry sequence that you need in order for transfer major prep. However, if you do complete organic chemistry as well, it is helpful because then you don't have to complete it here at UCSD. So while it's not required, you can complete organic chemistry. It is just the general chemistry sequence that is required for admission.
Thanks, Haley. Before I ask the next question out loud, I just want to remind you that you can continue to submit questions via the Q&A feature. We're happy to answer them for you. Sorry, and the next question is it possible to change departments? So I'm assuming major departments. For example, can you change from biological sciences to pharmacy or public health?
I can answer this one. So students are able to change their major out of the School of Biological Sciences. We just warn against that unless you are 1000% certain, because once you transfer or once you change out of biology for the School of Biological Sciences, you can't come back in. So basically, if you leave, it's like you were never in if you were trying to get back in. So all of the restricted criteria would apply to you. So if a transfer student comes in as biology and then switches to like biochemistry, they would not be able to switch back to biology. Since incoming freshmen can only apply during their first 6 quarters, so the first 2 years at UCSD to one of our majors, if they get in like their 5th or 6th quarter and then switch out in their 7th quarter, they're not going to be eligible to come back in. So just know you can change your major out. You just can't change your major back in. So, and then also there are other majors that are selective, so you'd have to kind of research that too.
Thanks, Brian. Another question we're going to ask live, kind of related to our pre-health question from the FAQ section, but I wanted to just ask it live again. Are there any programs within the School of Biosciences that help people who are interested in pre-med, pre-health?
We'll take this one. So essentially, if you're like pre-med or pre-health, you're definitely going to want to go speak to healthy advising. They're definitely going to be able to help you like in terms of like making sure that you're taking the academic prerequisites for most medical school / health programs. UCSD does offer a lot of organizations too that are pre-med, pre-health. So when you get here to UCSD, you're going to want to start talking to, like I said, healthy advising, career service center, and then I just know that like, when you get here, there'll be like a ton of different flyers for a ton of different organizations that are on campus. And all of the organizations, since there's a very heavy pre-med, pre-health population on campus, you will see like pre-med, pre-health like groups, or they're called GBMs. So like you would basically go to them and you're just meeting a bunch of people who have similar interests, and you'll start meeting like doctors or people in their certain medical like programs that you can go speak to. In terms of like biological sciences offering a program that's just specifically for pre-med, pre-health, I don't believe that we have one, but you can definitely go speak to all the other health orgs on campus. That would be like my best thing to say on to it.
Bianca. Another question from the Q&A I'm going to direct to Timothy. As a first-year applicant, what do you recommend I put for my second choice of major? If my first choice is a biological science major. I've heard that putting undeclared is a good second option for capped or selective majors, but I was wondering what your advice would be.
Well, let me just begin by saying that's an excellent question. And all the questions have been excellent. So thank you for submitting these questions. First-year applicants, students can gain admission undeclared. So there is a difference between first year and transfer. For first-year students, if a student does not meet overall selection, they can be admitted as undeclared if they meet general selection. So in other words, if a student declares a major in biology as a first year and they're not admitted to biology, they don't meet the selection for biology, they could meet overall selection into another major or undeclared. It is highly recommended for anybody interested in biology just to select an alternate major on the application for admission. So remember, for UC San Diego, students can declare a first choice major, and that should be whatever major you're most passionate, most interested about. The alternate major can be any other major, or for first year students, they can actually select undeclared. For transfer students, on the other hand, they must be admitted by major. Undeclared is not an option. So I know that wasn't part of the question, but it's important to say that for transfer students, we do recommend selecting a first choice. In this case, if it's biology, select biology. And then as an alternate major, we would recommend a non-selective major to maximize the chances of getting into UC San Diego. It's not a recommended strategy to select the first choice major as biology and the alternate major as biology, because if a student does not get into their first choice major, which is a biology major, the chances are not likely that they will get into an alternate major, which is biology. I hope that clarification helps a little bit, Camille.
Thanks, Timothy. The next question I'm going to ask live, I'll answer this one. Are there honors programs available for transfer students? So I can only speak on honors program available in the School of Biological Sciences. It does look like the different colleges offer different types of honors programs. So you would want to look into the specific honors programs for the colleges. But for biology, the only honors program that we offer is called the Senior Honors Thesis Program. And ideally, it's a research program that you participate in your senior year at UCSD. So the honors thesis program is what it sounds like. You participate in research for 3 quarters, and then in your final quarter, you would produce a thesis at the end of the year. You would also present at a scientific research showcase, and then completion of that program with a certain GPA and passing grades in the research courses each quarter. So that course is BISP 196. Would grant students a distinction at graduation. So that's the only way to earn any type of honors in the School of Biosciences. The next question I want to ask live, anybody can jump in, but as a prospective applicant is asking, what are some personal opportunities you would recommend freshman students take advantage of, either relating to biosciences or anything in general to kick off the first year?
I can, or Bianca, do you want to answer?
You go ahead.
Okay, I can answer this one. Cool. So I think as a first year student, there is also as a transfer student, I would definitely look into the Bio Scholars program. So for first year students, you'll be invited. For transfer students, you'll have to apply. But the Bio Scholars program is something that I definitely recommend that you look into, because again, there's a lot of cool cool programming and a lot of good networking opportunities with faculty members. I would also, again, recommend looking into BSSA, which is the Biological Sciences Student Association, because they also do a lot of good programming. Other than that, I would recommend that if admitted to UCSD and your biology, that you sign up for our newsletter, which I'm sure that at that time you will get information about. It is because that is where we will be posting a lot of really cool opportunities that you can get involved in. And then just in general on campus, there is like a lot of different clubs and organizations as a student that you can get involved in as well, that we'd recommend that you take advantage of. And during the first few weeks of the quarter, there's a lot of events going on, and a lot of the clubs are like hosting their meetings and everything. So definitely a lot to take advantage of at UCSD.
Right. Feel free to continue to send questions via the Q&A. Another question that some students ask can any UC San Diego student declare a minor in biology?
I can answer this one. So the answer is no, not anyone can. So everyone except for biology majors can. So you can be a biology major or you can be a biology minor. So the good thing is that, especially for students who are interested in pre-health programs, is that a lot of the prerequisites are applicable to the bio minor. So if you don't get in, if you're not selected to be a biology major, then you can add the bio minor, and by pursuing the pre-health, pre-med, pre-PA school courses, you basically would already complete the bio minor. So it's a great option for those who are pursuing a health profession but are not selected into a bio major.
And I'll add to that, nobody asked this, but I'm just gonna add because it's related. Students sometimes ask if they can double major within biology. You also cannot double major within the same department or school. So if you major in bio, awesome, obviously. If you decide to double major or minor, like Brian is saying, you kind of have to dive in to another department of your interest. And let's see. There is a question in the Q&A, which major makes my chance better for acceptance for UCSD as a pre-med student? So I'm not sure if you're asking which bio major option is the best option for you as a pre-med student, or if you're asking about UCSD School of Medicine. But I'm going to go with the first question. If anybody can jump in and answer, which bio major makes my chance better for acceptance as a pre-med student?
Let's say this one. You can be any major and still be pre-med. You don't even have to be a bio major. You could be like a linguistics major, as long as you're meeting the academic prerequisites that are needed for your medical school or whatever pre-health program that you intend to apply to. As long as you're meeting those academic prerequisites, you are pre-med. So there is no exact like major or anything like that. That's a pre-med major. You just need to take the requirements. Now, if you're accepted into UCSD and you are a bio major, you can schedule an appointment to meet with any of us. And on the bottom, you'll write that you're interested in going to medical school or veterinary school or something like that. And then we will take you to the Healthy Advising website, and we can help input some of those courses onto your long-term plans so that they align with you're knocking out your major coursework while also you're taking the prerequisites for like med school, vet school, whatever it may be. That's usually when we as advisors would like to know if you're pre-med or you intend to apply to any of those health programs, because we can start tailoring your long-term plans to help you meet those academic prerequisites. But there is no pre-med major and there is no bio major that's meant for pre-med students. You can be any major.
Thanks, Bianca. I'll ask one more question live. Is physics a prerequisite for transfer students?
I could take this one. And so again, the only like required courses in order to be admitted to biology are Build 1 and Build 3, and then the Gen Chem sequence, which is Chem 6A, 6B, 6C, and 7L, and the Calculus sequence, which is Math 10A and 10B, or 20A and 20B. Physics is not required for admission, but it is a requirement for most of our biology majors. So if you don't complete it prior to being admitted to UCSD, you'll just have to complete it while at UCSD. So it's not required for admission, but it is a requirement for most of our majors. So similarly to organic chemistry, that's also not required for admission. If you do complete it at the community college, it is just courses that you don't have to complete here at UCSD.
Thanks, Haley. I think we have one more question. I'm not sure which one Priscilla you're referring to. Okay, let's see. Another question, if anyone can answer this. Let's see. Is there an application or selection process for the Roots program, or is it open to any UC San Diego bio student? I don't know if anybody can answer that. What I will say, we did list the link for the Roots program previously in the chat. I'm also going to list the link for application instructions for the Roots program in the chat now. I'm going to guess that the information on this page is based on the application cycle from this past June. So what I would say for you, if you're applying to UCSD and you're admitted into bio, and then you're interested in this specific program, I would definitely monitor this page next spring to get more information for next school year. So to wrap up our School of Biosciences portion of the presentation, please visit our website, biology.ucsd.edu, for information about our program offerings, student organization, organizations and enrichment opportunities. If you have any further questions after this presentation, please feel free to email us at biousis@ucsd.edu. And I'll pass it on to Timothy to wrap up the session. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Camille, and our biology colleagues for being available and answering all these great questions. So we really appreciate that. So as I mentioned a little bit earlier, we are everywhere, the Office of Admissions. So follow us on social media. You can see our hashtag information is also listed, and our YouTube channel where this webinar recording will be posted in the coming days. There's always something exciting happening in the Office of Admissions. Next slide. If you have more questions after today's webinar, feel free to contact the admissions office. You can go ahead and click on this QR code. We have our phone number listed, and also we have a contact us form on our website. We want to hear from you if you have questions, comments. We want to support as many students as we can in this process. We know you have many options with regard to your admission, and so we want you to consider UC San Diego. We want you to apply, and we hope to see you here in a future term. On behalf of our chancellor and all of our campus leaders and all of us in the Office of Admissions and the School of Biological Sciences, thank you again for being with us tonight. We appreciate it, and we hope to see you at a future webinar series.